Hello and welcome to this short video on analyzing air compressor problems. My name is Bob Murphy and I will be your guide on this video. Just so you know, I am the owner of Murphy Electric LLC and the Electrical Helper website. I was raised in the family electrical business and proud to say this is our 90th year serving our industry. Before we dive into checking an air compressor problem, I would ask that if you find this short video useful, please be sure and check out our affiliates whose support make it possible for us to bring you this training. So the complaint is that the motor will not start the compressor. Let's make a few simple checks to determine what the root of the problem really is. It is essential that you follow the directions given to you on this step. Failure to complete this step can cause serious injury or death, so please stay safe. Step 1. Turn the power off at the circuit breaker panel or the fuse box, whichever might be applicable. I am not a lawyer, nor do I want to be, so please follow the steps in this short video at your own risk. We are not responsible nor liable for any actions causing an accident or personal injury as a result of having watched this video. In step 2, we're going to loosen the motor base bolts and slide the motor toward the compressor. Now remove the belt or belts from the air compressor and place them where they can't be damaged. Once you've done that, turn the flywheel on the compressor to be sure the compressor is not locked up or turns real hard by hand. If the compressor turns hard in step 2A, there are a couple checks you must complete. Step number 3, be sure the pressure relief on the pressure switch is bleeding off the air from the head of the compressor. If compressed air discharged to the atmosphere when the compressor discharge port nut was loosened, a new pressure switch must be installed. There is a check valve located just before the discharge pipe from the compressor enters the storage tank, or in some cases, it is inside the tank. If the tank check valve is leaking, the bleed on the pressure switch should bleed air off continuously at any time the tank has air pressure and the compressor is not running. Or in that case, you would need to replace that check valve. If none of the previous steps produced results in solving your compressor problem, we must turn our attention to the electric motor. Now, before we talk about step 1 with the electric motor, I want to re-emphasize that in the initial step that we use to start this process, we turn the power off at the disconnect or circuit breaker panel and locked it out, tagged it out so nobody can turn it on. So in this particular step, we're going to take hold of the pulley or the motor shaft firmly and try moving the motor shaft from side to side or up and down. If the motor shaft has any side to side or up and down movement, it is time to remove the motor to an electric motor repair shop for further evaluation and repair. At this point, it is time to see if the motor will run when power is applied. Remember in step 1, way back at the beginning of this video tutorial, we turned the power off at the circuit breaker panel or the fuse box. We're going to remove the lockout tagout at this point in time, and our intent now is to turn the power on momentarily to see if the motor will start on its own and if it does, if it sounds smooth. In other words, no roughness in the motor operation. We must repeat the actions of step number 1, turning the power off at the circuit breaker panel or the fuse box. Lock out and tag out to be certain the compressor motor will not become energized. We are going to disconnect the power wires serving this motor at this time, but before we do, get a pencil and paper or use your camera phone and write down or record how it is now connected so that later you will be able to put the wiring back as it was when you started. Remember that repairing your air compressor motor can be costly and take many hours of valuable time. So a great cost-effective way to get your compressor running again and saving you many hours of downtime is to take a close look at our North American electric compressor duty motors.